Hey there, friend. Welcome back to the channel. Let me start with a number that really stopped me in my tracks when I first saw it. More than 4 million people right now are walking around with cancer cells growing inside their bodies, and they have absolutely no idea. I'm not saying that to scare you, but it's the truth, and here's what really breaks my heart. Most people don't start paying attention until their doctor walks into the exam room with that look. The we need to talk look. They're sitting there holding their partner's hand, eyes getting red, and they ask me the same question I've heard for over 20 years now. Is it too late? Most of the time, it's not too late, but almost every time they say, I wish I'd known sooner. I wish someone had told me. Well, today I want to change that for you because right in your local grocery store, Walmart, Kroger, your neighborhood farmer's market, there are 4 simple, cheap, unassuming vegetables. Harvard, Johns Hopkins, the World Health Organization, hundreds of studies have gone back and forth on these, and the evidence keeps pointing the same way. These foods can actually work all the way down at your genetic level. They can encourage cancer cells to self-destruct, and they can flip those protective switches back on. 4 vegetables, way cheaper than any supplement or wellness tea you'll see on Instagram. But here's the problem. Most people cook them wrong, wrong heat, wrong time, wrong preparation, wrong combination, and they accidentally destroy the very compounds that do all the good stuff. I've been doing clinical nutrition for over 20 years. And honestly, today's video isn't for everybody. It's for the person who's been quietly worried about your own body, worried about your parents, worried about your partner, whose blood pressure is all over the place, whose blood sugar drifts, whose knees ache when the weather changes, who can't sleep through the night. You want to make a change but don't know where to start. So let's start at your dinner table, simple as that. And the change you make at that table, it affects way more than you think. Now, fair warning, the number 1 vegetable on this list, you probably won't guess it. It's not flashy, it's not expensive, and I honestly ignored it myself for over 15 years. But before I tell you these 4, there's one thing you need to understand. Cancer and most chronic diseases don't just show up one day. They're built little by little, meal by meal, bad night of sleep by bad night of sleep, each little stress you hold inside and don't tell anyone about. There's a medical term for this: oxidative stress plus chronic inflammation. Sounds fancy, right? Here's what it actually means. Think of your body like a car that you drive every single day. Exhaust fumes, cheap gas, potholes in the road, the stop and go traffic. Those are free radicals. If you never change the oil, never get a tune-up, never rotate the tires, eventually that engine is going to die on the highway, and that's when a serious illness hits. But if you put the right fuel in, if you give it what it actually needs, that car will run smoother and last way longer than you ever expected. So what is that right fuel? It's in these 4 vegetables, and I'm also going to show you the cooking mistakes almost everyone makes. One quick but very important thing, this is for educational purposes only. Always consult your own doctor before making changes, especially if you have a known condition or you're on medications. I'm your YouTube doctor, not your personal doctor, though I wish I could be. If you've made it this far, you clearly care about your health and your family's health. So drop a 1 in the comments, just the number 1, so I know you're with me. Let's get into it. Number 4. This one might feel obvious to a lot of you. Broccoli. I know what you're thinking. Broccoli, come on, everybody knows broccoli is healthy, and you're right. But here's the thing. You probably only know about 10% of what makes it truly special. Broccoli isn't just full of vitamins and fiber. That's not why it's on this list. Broccoli contains a compound called sulforaphane. I want you to remember that word. Broccoli is a cruciferous vegetable, and when you chew it raw or steam it gently, an enzyme inside it called myrosinase converts a precursor compound into sulforaphane. And once that conversion happens, that's when the real magic starts. The Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, that's a very respected journal, published a major study showing that sulforaphane can actually find cancer stem cells and help destroy them. Cancer stem cells are the tough ones. They're the ones that chemotherapy often can't kill. The reason cancer sometimes comes back even after successful treatment in that study. Sulforaphane cut the number of breast cancer stem cells by up to 65%. Let me repeat that, 65%, and it doesn't stop there. Johns Hopkins University, where sulforaphane was first studied, later showed that this compound also activates your liver's phase 2 detox enzymes. What does that mean? It means that carcinogens you breathe in from air pollution or pick up from processed foods or absorb from the environment, those get neutralized before they can damage your DNA. That's huge. Let me tell you a true story. Last winter, a 71-year-old retired factory worker came to see me. Her name was Gifang. She had found a benign lump in her breast, but she was absolutely terrified. She came in looking pale, walking unsteadily. First thing she asked me was, "Am I dying?" I said, "Hey, let's not go there yet. Let's take a breath. Let's start with your food." The way she was eating was so common. White rice porridge with pickled vegetables for breakfast, leftover lunch from the day before, and whatever was easiest for dinner, almost no vegetables and almost no variety. So I asked her to do one simple thing: add a small bowl of steamed broccoli to her day every day. And on top of that steamed broccoli, just a tiny pinch of mustard powder. First week, she said she didn't feel much. Second week, she told me she was sleeping better than she had in months. Third week, we did her follow-up labs and her markers were stable. 2 months later, her energy was completely different. She walked into my office smiling, moving easily, and said to me, "Doctor, now the first thing I do at the grocery store is head straight for the broccoli." Now, of course, her improvement wasn't only from broccoli. That would be a fairy tale, but food works like compound interest. Little by little, it adds up, small changes, consistent over time. That's how you get real change. So here's the key. How you cook broccoli matters more than you think. High heat stir frying, boiling it until it's mushy, that destroys the myrosinase enzyme, and the conversion to sulforaphane just plummets. You lose most of the benefit. The best way, steam it for just 3 to 5 minutes. Or eat it raw in a salad. And here's a tip that almost nobody knows. Even people who read all the health blogs, after you steam the broccoli, sprinkle a little mustard seed powder on it. Mustard seeds naturally contain that same myrosinase enzyme. That tiny move can dramatically boost how much sulforaphane your body actually absorbs. Night and day difference. Number three, if you only remember one cooking tip from this entire video, like if you watch the rest of this and forget everything else, I want you to remember this one. Garlic, I know what you're thinking. Garlic, that's not a vegetable. Well, from a botany and nutrition standpoint, it 100% counts, and its anti-cancer reputation is actually more solid than a lot of real vegetables people talk about. So what makes garlic so powerful? The core compound is called allicin, but here's the thing. Allicin doesn't just magically appear when you cut into a clove. You have to crush it or chop it first, and then you have to let it sit out in the open air for about 10 minutes. Those 10 minutes are absolutely critical. I'll explain why in a second, but first let me show you the data. The World Health Organization, the WHO, actually has a dietary guideline that says you can eat 2 to 5 grams of fresh garlic per Dalton Y. That's about 1 clove. Specifically for disease prevention, the journal Cancer Prevention Research looked at 27 separate independent studies and put them all together. And they found that people who ate the most garlic had a significantly lower risk of colorectal cancer. Not a tiny difference, a real meaningful difference. The National Cancer Institute also found links between regular garlic intake and lower risk of stomach, esophageal, pancreatic, and breast cancers. So how does this actually work in your body? Allicin and its derivatives, compounds with names like ajoun and diallyl sulfide, push cancer cells into a process called apoptosis. That's the cell's built-in self-destruct button. Your normal cells use this all the time to get rid of damaged or mutated cells. It's a natural cleanup system, but cancer cells learn to dodge this system. They refuse to die. These garlic compounds essentially shut the escape hatch and force the cancer cells to do what they're supposed to do, self-destruct. But, and this is a big but, you have to eat it the right way. This is where the 10-minute rule comes in. When you crush or chop garlic, you activate an enzyme called allinase. That enzyme starts converting a compound called alanine to a allicin, but if you throw that chopped garlic straight into a hot pan, the heat destroys the enzyme before it can do its job. You lose most of the allicin and you lose most of the benefit. So here's what you do: chop or crush your garlic, let it sit at room temperature for 10 minutes, then cook it. That one simple habit can essentially double what you get from garlic. No extra cost, no extra time, just 10 minutes of patience. Let me tell you about a patient of mine. Old Sunday, I call him. He was 74, a former taxi driver, high blood pressure and high cholesterol for over a decade, and had been on medications for years. He loved garlic, but he used to toss whole cloves into the pan, thinking that was the best way to get the flavor. I explained the 10-minute rule to him, and he went home and tried it. First month, we checked his labs, and his LDL cholesterol had come down. Second month, he told me he wasn't as sleepy in the afternoons anymore. 3 months later, with his primary care doctor's supervision, he actually cut one of his blood pressure medications in half. He came in and said to me, "Doc, I've been cooking garlic wrong my whole life, and here's the thing, garlic isn't just anti-cancer. Research also shows it helps lower LDL cholesterol, helps control blood pressure, and it's a fantastic antimicrobial and anti-inflammatory food." The Chinese Nutrition Society did a dietary survey back in 2019 looking at middle-aged and older adults in northern China, and they confirmed that people who ate a little garlic every day had noticeably fewer heart-related problems. Garlic is what I call a six-sided warrior. It just does so many things well. If you're still watching this, you're serious about your health. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button and turn on the little bell. I put out evidence-based, actionable health content every week, and I don't want you to miss it. Now, let's move on to number two. Number two, I call this one the quiet overachiever. It never brags, it never shows off, but it's working deep inside your cells, and most people never even notice it. I'm talking about spinach. Spinach is packed with so many good things. Folate, your DNA needs folate for synthesis and repair carotenoids like lutein, zeaxanthin, and beta-carotene. Those are all top-tier antioxidants that clean up the free radicals I mentioned earlier, but what really sets spinach apart from other leafy greens are two compounds with ridiculously long scientific names, MGDG and SQDG. You don't need to remember the names, just remember what they do. Researchers at Osaka Prefecture University in Japan found that these two compounds can inhibit an enzyme called DNA polymerase alpha. That enzyme is exactly what cancer cells need to copy themselves and keep dividing. Without it, they can't replicate. So here's the simple way to think about it. Spinach basically pulls the plug on the cancer cell's copy machine. No power, no copying, no spreading. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, but what about oxalates? Isn't spinach high in oxalates? Isn't that bad for kidney stones? Yes, spinach does contain oxalates, but there's a huge misunderstanding around this, and I want to clear it up. First, let me finish the good stuff, and then I'll show you exactly how to handle the oxalate issue, because the benefits are too big to ignore for heart health. The Journal of Nutrition found that people who eat leafy greens like spinach every single day have a significantly lower risk of heart disease, partly because spinach contains natural nitrates, not the artificial kind in processed meats, that help your blood vessels relax and widen. That means lower blood pressure and better blood flow. And here's a number that still gets me every time I read it. The American Journal of Clinical Nutrition published a large study showing that women who ate more of a flavonoid called camphorol, and spinach is a great source of camphorol, had a 40% lower risk of ovarian cancer. 40% for a vegetable that costs maybe $1 or $2 per bag. Tell me that isn't amazing. Here's what most people don't know. Cooked spinach actually gives you better absorption of beta-carotene and iron. The heat breaks down some of the cell walls and makes those nutrients more available. But raw spinach preserves more folate, so the smartest approach is to alternate. Eat it raw in salads one day, lightly sautéed with a little olive oil the next day, tossed into soups or pasta the day after. Mix it up. Now, let's talk about oxalates. Because I don't want you to be scared off, the fix is incredibly simple before you cook your spinach. Just blanch it in boiling water for 30 seconds to 1 minute. That's it. That quick blanch removes between 40 and 70% of the oxalates. Then you can stir fry it, cold dress it, add it to eggs, whatever you like. Safe, delicious, no worries. Avoiding spinach entirely because of oxalates is like throwing away the whole apple because of the stem. You're missing out on so much good. And now, number one, okay, I'm going to be completely honest with you. The first three vegetables, they were the warm-up. This one is the main event. If you only watch one part of this entire video, watch this part. Number one might surprise you. In fact, I guarantee it will surprise you. It's not ginseng. It's not some rare mushroom. It's not an expensive superfood powder. It's beetroot. Beets, that round, deep purple, kind of dirty looking vegetable that a lot of people walk right past in the produce aisle. I get it. I used to ignore it too. For almost 15 years, I walked right past beets. But after reading the research, I promise you, you're going to see it completely differently. That intense purple-red color isn't just for looks. It comes from a class of compounds called betalains, specifically beta-cyanin and beta-xanthin. And these are among the most potent antioxidant and anti-inflammatory compounds found anywhere in the plant world. I'm not exaggerating. A study in the journal Molecules found that beta-cyanin can actually suppress the growth of colon cancer, stomach cancer, lung cancer, and breast cancer cell lines. Another study in the European Journal of Nutrition showed that beetroot extract reduced prostate cancer and breast cancer cell growth by more than 50% in lab conditions. Now, I'll be honest with you, lab conditions aren't the same as human bodies. I'm not going to pretend otherwise. But when you put the lab evidence together with population studies and the known biological mechanisms, the picture is powerful, really powerful. Then there's the other superpower of beets, and this one is even more relevant for most of you watching. Natural nitrates, not the artificial preservative type nitrates you find in hot dogs and deli meat, completely different. Your body converts these natural nitrates from beets into nitric oxide. Nitric oxide relaxes and widens your blood vessels, blood flows better, your blood pressure drops. And that happens naturally. Without the side effects of some medications. Queen Mary University of London did a famous study where people with high blood pressure drank just 1 cup of beet juice a day, and their systolic blood pressure, that's the top number, dropped by an average of 8 points. 8 points, that's in the same ballpark as some prescription blood pressure medications. Of course, talk to your doctor before stopping or changing any medication, but that's remarkable for a vegetable. And the Sleep Heart Health study, that was a large long-term study tracking more than 6,000 people, confirmed that cardiovascular health is tightly linked to your overall risk of chronic disease, including cancer. Beets work on 3 things at once: blood vessel flexibility, inflammation levels, and antioxidant capacity. Better circulation means more oxygen and more immune cells reaching every corner of your body, including areas that are fighting off abnormal cells. But wait, there's more. Beets are also one of the richest dietary sources of a compound called betaine. Betaine helps your cells handle physical and chemical stress, and it plays a starring role in a process called methylation. Methylation is like the dimmer switch on your genes. It decides which genes get turned on and which genes get turned off. One of the hallmarks of cancer is that these switches get messed up. Tumor suppressor genes, the ones that protect you, get silenced. Betaine helps turn that volume back up. It helps keep those protective genes active. So beets aren't just affecting your blood pressure today. They're literally working at your genetic level, helping you guard against problems down the road. And on top of all that, beets have fiber, folate, manganese, and vitamin C. All of those support your immune system, your digestion, and your body's natural detox pathways. This one vegetable does more than most supplement stacks I see people spending hundreds of dollars on. So how do you eat them if you don't like that earthy taste? I get it. Here's what I tell my patients: roast them, cut beets into chunks, toss with a tiny bit of olive oil and a pinch of salt, and roast in the oven until they're tender. They come out sweet and almost caramelized. Completely different from the canned pickled beets you might remember from childhood. You can also juice them, a small cup of beet and carrot juice in the morning. You can slice them raw into thin rounds and put them in a salad, or blend them into a smoothie with some berries and yogurt. One quick warning, so nobody panics: if you eat beets, your urine and your stool might turn a little pink or red. That's completely normal. It's just the betalains being excreted. It's not blood. It's not dangerous. Just beets being beets. Let me tell you about a patient of mine. He was 68 years old. A retired community health worker, high blood pressure for 10 years on medication, but he always felt foggy and heavy-headed, just miserable, but he thought that was just normal for his age. Last year, he started juicing about 200 milliliters. That's a small cup of beet plus carrot every morning. First week, nothing changed, except he got a big shock when his urine turned pink. I told him, don't worry, that's just the beets. Second week, he said his head felt clearer than it had in years. 1 month later, his blood pressure readings were noticeably steadier at 3 months with his primary care doctor's supervision. He actually reduced his blood pressure medication by a quarter. He came in smiling and said, "Doc, I walked past beets my whole life. I never knew they could do all this. Please take a screenshot of this next section, or just write this down and send it to someone you care about, because so many people go their whole lives without knowing that cheap, simple ordinary vegetables can do extraordinary things." Quick recap, write these down. Number 4, broccoli sulforaphane targets cancer stem cells and boosts your liver's detox pathways. Don't boil it, don't stir fry it on high heat, steam it for 3 to 5 minutes. And after you steam it, sprinkle a tiny pinch of mustard powder on top. That one step makes a huge difference. Number 3, garlic. Allicin pushes cancer cells towards self-destruction. It also supports heart health and immune function. Chop or crush the garlic, let it sit on your cutting board for 10 full minutes. Then cook it. That 10-minute wait is the secret. Number 2, spinach. It effectively pulls the plug on the cancer cell's copy machine. Great for heart and DNA health. Eat it raw sometimes. Cook sometimes. If you're worried about oxalates, just blanch it in hot water for 30 seconds to a minute before cooking. Simple. Number 1, Beetroot, top-level antioxidant, natural blood pressure support, and it works at the genetic level to keep your protective genes active and loud. Roast it, juice it, grate it raw into a salad. Just get it onto your plate. Let me be completely honest with you. Friend, these 4 vegetables do not replace medication. They do not replace chemotherapy, radiation, surgery, or any treatment your doctor prescribes. If you have been diagnosed with cancer or any serious chronic condition, please follow your doctor's plan. Work with your medical team. I would never, ever tell you to stop treatment and just eat vegetables. That would be harmful and irresponsible. But the science is very clear. What you eat every single day is one of the most powerful tools you have control over. The American Cancer Society estimates that about 18% of cancers in the United States are linked to poor diet, physical inactivity, and excess body weight. That means almost 1 in 5 cancers could have been prevented, not treated after the fact, prevented the meal you put on your plate. It's not just food. It's a signal to your cells. It's a letter to your DNA. It's a command to your immune system. Give your body good, clean, real fuel, and your body will give you good health in return. Broccoli. Garlic, spinach, beets, the research is loud and clear. They deserve a regular spot on your dinner table. I want you to start this week, not next month, not after the holidays, not when work calms down. This week, pick one of these 4, just one, add it to your meals 3 or 4 times this week. See how you feel. Pay attention to your energy, your sleep, your digestion, and then slowly over time, build the habit of including all of them. Your body has an incredible, almost unbelievable ability to heal itself and protect itself, but you have to give it the right raw materials. Those raw materials are not expensive, they're not exotic, they're at your local grocery store right now. For pocket change, one last bonus tip before I let you go. I didn't have time to fully explain this in the main video, but it's worth knowing if you stir fry broccoli and garlic together. Remember, crush the garlic and let it sit for 10 minutes first, then stir fry quickly with the broccoli. Some research suggests there's a synergy there. The sulfur compounds in cruciferous vegetables and the sulfur compounds in garlic may work together. 1 + 1 = 3, double protection in one simple dish. Try it next time you cook. Here's what I need you to do if this video helped you. First, like this video, not for my ego. Honestly, the algorithm pays attention. When you like it, YouTube shows it to more people who need to hear this message. You might help somebody who's quietly worried about their health but doesn't know where to start. Second, share this video with someone you love, your parents, your partner, your sibling, your coworker who's always tired. Sometimes the best gift isn't an expensive supplement from a fancy store. It's showing them that some of the best medicine in the world is sitting in the produce aisle, waiting for them to bring it home. Third, drop a comment below. Tell me which of these 4 are you most excited to try first? Broccoli, garlic, spinach, or beets? Or maybe you already have a healthy cooking trick of your own that your family loves. Share it. Let's all learn from each other. That's what this channel is about. We're walking this road together. Friend, slowly, steadily, not in a hurry, but never stopping. Health isn't about perfection. It's about small, consistent choices day after day. You've got this. Thank you for trusting me with your time today. It really means a lot to me. And remember, if you're dealing with any health concerns, any at all, please schedule a visit with your primary care doctor. I'm here to help you understand the science, not replace professional medical advice. Next time, I'm going to show you 5 things you might be eating every single day that are quietly causing trouble. Even people who think they're eating healthy fall for these processed foods, hiding in plain sight. I promise you won't want to miss it. So go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already, hit that bell, and I'll see you in the next video.